Official Bradley Cooper. How you doing, sir? How's it going today? Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate that. Today, we're going to talk about what is security. I come across this this subject, this issue, quite often when I am talking to clients, potential clients, people who are wanting the various security services. And a lot of times they don't know exactly what they want. They just know in general they want security or protection. So what this broadcast is doing is giving you the knowledge and the tools of the various aspects or types of security. All right, we're going to start by establishing what is security. Security is the act, the action, the planning and execution of securing or protecting people, places, and things. The act of or action and planning and execution of protecting and securing people, places, and things. That's what security is. Security also is the art and science of prevention. A lot of people get security and policing mixed up. Police are law enforcement. They enforce the laws. The aspect of prevention is very small. Their presence is typically the prevention part. Okay? Their presence is typically the prevention part, and their reputation. But security is the act of preventing a crime, a mishap, or criminal activity. A lot of people are not aware of that. They associate security and policing to be the same thing. And guess what? They're not the same thing. They're not the same thing. If you hire security, you want to hire security because you want them to prevent crime, criminal activity as much as they can. We call this mitigation. You want them to mitigate the happen chance of something occurring that is negative upon your property, your event, so on and so forth. So these are the things you want to look into when you look into a particular person or company for that service. How are they capable of preventing? What preventative measures are they taking? Do they use in order to identify and curb the probability or likability of something negative happening? Now, if you're hiring them strictly on the fact that they look like police, they act like police, then what you're doing is you're allowing the liability to occur and their ability to respond to the liability. And usually at that point, it's a wrap. You're already a part of the liability. And in security, what you're trying to do is prevent as much liability as possible. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to prevent as much liability as possible. But when you allow it to happen and then rely on your service agent to respond to it, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. Now you're in the cleanup phase. You're trying to deflect. Everybody trying to deflect because now you're going to the courts. You're going to the police where there's charges, and then you're trying to deflect these charges. Hey, no, that wasn't our responsibility. That wasn't ours. No, we weren't responsible for that. So you want somebody to be able to mitigate before any of that occur. And you want to be able to identify or them to explain, how are you capable of mitigating this from happening, that from happening, this from happening, that from happening? Because once it happens, that's that. We're in a very litigious society where people will sue you as well as the security company for whatever occurred. You want to prevent that from happening. Now, there's 4 types of security. 4 types. When I come up in the security game, there was only 3 types, but now there's 4 types. One is physical security. Then there's electronic security. There's personal security, and the youngest addition is cybersecurity. Okay. Physical security is the protection of buildings and land masses. Within physical security, you have, the perimeter, you have the interior, and then you have the event, if there is an event. A lot of times, like with your parking lots, warehouses, it's really not events going on, but it's still physical security because you are protecting a physicality. In buildings, you're protecting the physical building, usually the company that occupies the physical building, and their interests. So their visitors, their customers, their employees and staff, that's a part of physical security because it's very general. You are utilizing techniques and tactics and strategies to be able to keep these things and people safe to a degree, not totally safe, but to a degree. So what your job as a consumer is to find out what degree can they keep you safe? What degree can they keep your activities safe? What degree can they keep your building safe? What degree can they keep your curtilage or the area surrounding the building that is used for everyday business safe? You don't ask these questions. You don't know these questions. All you're doing is hiring somebody just because they're in business. You have to be a lot more detailed so that you will know, hey, I know that this group say that they can do this. If they say they can do this, then you hold them to it. And if you see that that is a constant misnomer, a statement that is not true, you get rid of them. Because now that's liability, and what you're trying to prevent is liability. That's the whole purpose of hiring protection and security, It's so that the liability don't fall back on you. But if you don't hire the proper one, it's going to fall back on you. Now, when you hire the proper one, yes, anybody can accuse you of anything. They can take warrants out on you. They can make statements against you, but that don't make it true. What you have is a consistency of action and the knowledge of the action that protects you, that keeps you protected. This is what you want protected. You want what you do and how you do protected, as well as those that patronize you, those that are affiliates and associates. When it comes to you throwing something, you want them and what you're doing protected. And a lot of times what most people do is they go to the lowest bidder because they figure, ain't nothing gonna happen. It's all good. Ain't nothing gonna happen. Well, let me tell you, security is a type of insurance. Security means that if something happens, will the service or the personnel that you've hired be able to meet or exceed and take care of, mitigate that incident/liability? Now, with insurance, you got what? You got the full coverage and you got liability. Liability just means that as long as it's not your fault, you good. Full coverage means regardless if it's your fault or not, you are being protected in some shape, form, or fashion. Most of your security companies are liability style security companies. The reason that is because they don't specialize. They're generalists. All right. So let's break this down. The physical security is the protection of buildings and or land masses and the activities that occur within these buildings and or on these land masses. All right. Then you got electronic security, which is what? Your cameras and your alarms. See, these are your various layers. Then you have cybersecurity, meaning protecting the things that you have on your computer via internet access. All right. Then you got personal security, which is when you are protecting a person or persons directly. So when you call a security company, protection services, some people they have expertise in a particular area. Now here lately, I see a lot of companies who are saying that they have expertise in personal security. Now, there's a way to identify if they really do. And it's very simple. Who have you protected and how have you protected them? I see a lot of companies who are now saying that they offer executive protection and personal protection and close protection and bodyguard services. Well, typically, like the rest of these particular security services, you have to have training for that. You have to have training for physical security. You have to have training for electronic security. You have to have training for cybersecurity. And you definitely have to have training for personal security. So you want to ask them, what is your training? What training did you go to? What do you subscribe to? What particular school of thought do you subscribe to? Like anything else. Like if you go get your hair cut, you don't go get your hair cut. If you have kinky hair like my hair, you don't go to a place that doesn't serve people who have kinky hair like my hair. They're going to mess your hair up. When you go to the doctor, you don't go to an eye, ears, and nose doctor for something that's wrong with your back. You go to a doctor that specializes in backs or vertebrae. So you have to ask these questions. Now, I happen to be in this industry long enough to where I have extensive experience in physical, electronic, and personal. Not necessarily, or not, I'm not going to say not necessarily, but not cyber. I'm not schooled in cybersecurity. But I am schooled and educated and degreed in physical, electronic, and personal. But my services is, I'll say 75, 80% personal security. Even though I used to do physical and electronic, I still lend my expertise to various people and places, for cameras and motion detectors and lights and things of that nature. For home and certain businesses, I'll do that for certain people I know. Physical security, I tend to recommend that to other affiliates that I know that can handle that. That usually takes manpower, man hours. And when that's what I call a generalist. And I train those people as an instructor and a trainer and a teacher. I train those people to become great generalists when it comes to physical security in order to mitigate issues and problems. Now, when it comes to personal security, man, that's a whole different ball game. It's a whole different ball game. I've been to several schools for this. I've been to the European school when I was stationed in Germany that was put on by the GSG-9. I've been to several American schools, to include those schools supported by the Secret Service, the Department of Defense, and the Department of Justice, in order to protect diplomats, heads of state, what most people know as VIPs, or very important persons. And this is a whole thing. But if you don't know what to look for, you're not going to see it, and therefore you're going to miss it, and somebody's going to be able to get over on it. The last place you want to learn that your security protector or service or personnel doesn't know what they're doing is doing an emergency. So you have to do your due diligence. I've been called by companies and corporations to sit on the phone during interviews in order to ascertain if this person is full of shit or not. And I'll give them my findings. They're like, oh, okay, thank you. I've been a part of companies who want to specialize in certain areas, and I will train their people in those areas in order for them to have a better standing when it comes to advertising and fulfilling the contract, as well as understanding to be able to what? Promote themselves. Folks, just because somebody has a security license doesn't mean that they are fluent and or functional in all the aspects of security. You got to understand that security is protecting your valuables. Why are you going to lend the protection of your valuables to the lowest bidder or someone who is not capable? You have to do your due diligence. You have to be on top of it, because if you are not, you're going to pay twice. You're going to pay them for not doing the job, and then you're going to pay the other people for being victims of those not doing their job. It's serious business out here, and I want you all to be able to maneuver. Now, Gerald on Facebook says, I think I'm going to take a class in cybersecurity. Definitely. It helps. It helps, especially if you're in the security game, to be functional in every area. I'm not saying being an expert in every area, being functional, where you can be able to say, okay, I can't handle this. I know somebody who can. But I can see that there's a breach. There's a breach of security. Because in security, you want to prevent breaches. You want to prevent things and people from coming into the flow of whatever you're doing. We call that a breach. So you're trying to mitigate and or eliminate as many breaches as possible. Also in personal security, your specialist will be able to produce proof. Now, if someone have done security at a particular location, which is physical security, they're providing physical security, and then you have a VIP visitor come to that place, and they escort that person in and throughout that place. That's not personal security. That's still a part of physical security. Personal security is when you pick this person up from the airport or wherever they come from, the hotel, and you make plans. You have written plans. Okay, we're going to get you to this place and that place and that place and back safely. That is the most general application of personal security, when you take personal responsibility of that person's physicality and their safety from the start of their day to the end of their day. That's personal security. Not when they show up to your location and you get them to the dressing room or the VIP room and then back out to their car. No, that's still a part of physical security, because that's what is expected of those that is hosting that person. Now, whoever arrived with that person that you work with, that's the personal security professional. That's the person who knows what that VIP needs. If you don't know what that VIP needs, you're not assigned to that person from the start of their day to the end of their day, then you're not doing personal security. You're not doing executive protection. You're not doing bodyguard services. You're not doing close protection. You're not doing PSD, which is personal security detail, or PST, which is a personal security team. So knowing is half the battle. And I'm giving you this knowledge so that when you want what you want and need for your mission, your event, because it's a type of mission. And that's how we look at it. We look at it like a mission. Then you can maneuver and manipulate a lot better. If you don't, then what you're doing is you're allowing openings for something to happen. And when that something happens, you're going to be, oh, what? How did that happen? Because you didn't see it coming. Why? Because you didn't know. And when I say knowing is half the battle, you got to know what's going on. You got to know what to expect. You got to ask the right questions. And you got to know what the right answers is going to be. If not, somebody will pull the wool over your eyes. They will bullshit you. When I first moved to Nashville, I got a contract. There was a big car show going on, and this one individual who was a part of those who were hosting the car show, he had I want to say $8 million worth of vehicles, these show vehicles. He had these show vehicles on his property. He wanted 24-hour security. So I was hiring those who had special response, SWAT, SRT, SWORD backgrounds. So when I put the ad in Penny Saver and Craigslist. It shows how long ago it was. Oh, I had, a gang of folks come in to interview. And Katz was telling me, oh yeah, I was on the SWAT team at this particular county and city police department, yada, yada. And I was like, okay, what was your job on the SWAT team? Oh, I was a SWAT member. No. What was your job? See, they didn't know that there are particular jobs, particular positions and posts on a SWAT team. So that immediately let me know, as a SWAT operator and instructor, you don't know what you're talking about. Get out of my office. Don't come in and try to bullshit me. And the same thing for protection and protection teams. If a person can't tell me the various positions and the purpose of the positions, then you're not trained. You're not trained. And if you're not trained, you don't know what you're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to cause both of us a lot of money. And the purpose of being in business is to make money, not give money away. So I need you all to be able to identify bullshitters who step up and say, yeah, I could do this, I can do that, when they can't and when they don't know how. And then for those of you who like to watch television and see your favorite rappers, entertainers, and athletes with these big behemoths of people, that is what we call bullet blockers. Typically, and I mean usually, that person is just there as a symbol of protection. If something actually happened, that person is really not capable of doing anything but catching bullets or beating up somebody, which is what? Going to cause you liability. Even if that person was in the wrong, they still sue and get some money because your big guy just beat him up because he's not trained. Now, if that big guy has certificates from training institutions that say you are certified in personal protection, it's a different thing. It's a whole different thing. So if you have any questions, you need to know more about this, the process, you can email me at jc@jcshegog.com. That's jc@jcshegog.com. You can also give me a call at 615-669-1558. You can call or text me, either way, so that you can get on the right path, because you don't want to be portraying yourself as a specialist when you're just a generalist. And then you have to remember that in the city that you're in, even though the industry is big nationwide, the city that you're in, the industry is small. And we know who. I get so many phone calls from different people talking about, do you know this person? Yes, I know these people. Well, they didn't do this or they that, and they lied about this, and they haven't done it. There's not a whole lot I can do. I'm not the state. I don't enforce rules and regulations of the state. I am a state instructor. When the state call on me, or when the courts call on me, I am what they call an expert witness. I am able to testify to the validity of what they're doing or what they've been taught, regardless if I taught them or someone else. So I can identify that much, but I can't do much about it. So I want you all not to have to go through all of that in order to find out what you have is trash or garbage. Okay? So if you got any more questions, drop your questions in the comments. I'll be sure to answer them as much as I can. And or email me if you need further guidance. Again, email and call. Let's do better, and let's do better together. Till the next time, pay attention or pay the consequences. You got to pay either way, so you might as well pay attention instead of paying the consequences, because you might not be able to afford it. Peace of victory. I'm out.